The tefillah is gewaltig. It's just a simon.
For me.
Because, Michael, what happened? We became rusty in the last 3 or 4 weeks, Michael?
No,
Well, a little bit rusty?
no.
We got a little bit rusty. The oil today is a little bit rusty. Nicht gefallen. Nicht gefallen. Okay, I understand. But I want to tell you, I said there's a morale that speaks about this. Mamish, in Or Chodesh, on Purim, and you have it photocopied here, I'm going to show it with you. What would you tell these two people that are on the beds about to be wheeled in to the operation room? Should they daven each one for Yenim or each one for himself? I would say at this stage of the game, each one should daven for himself. Because it's 8. And when you daven for someone else and you take yourself out of it, it's 3. We want a tefillah of 8 could accomplish more than a tefillah of 3.
How do you arrive at that? How do you understand how you arrive at that?
Because I'm
How do you
learning.
see that within Rashi?
Because Rashi says the tefillah of the chayla is preferable over anybody else's tefillah. Why is it better than anybody else's tefillah? Because it's deeper.
Yeah, but you can't damage me in mind to have him himself and them.
חזקה, מה קרה פה היום? איזה סתימה חלקית? מה קרה? גשם. אין זמן להתפלל לשניהם. יש זמן להתפלל אחד.
But then you should definitely done if you're talking to the other person and you know that you're going to be answering.
No, if you do it for Altir tomorrow, it's not good.
No, sorry. I'm saying if you're doing it, if you're doing it for the other person,
Only for him.
only for him, right? You are automatically going to be answered as well.
You'll be answered before even, yes.
Right. So there's let's say 2 5s. Let's say I'm saying the tefillah for him is a 5 and the tefillah.
No, when you're done for someone else, it's 3. Avram Avinu felt for Avimelech 3. Avram Avinu felt for Avimelech 3.
Each one has got now a 3 and a 3.
That's right.
Okay. But if you made that 3 or 4, then it would be the same. If you made it 4 or 5, I'm saying that you would have 10 versus 8.
The kids, and that says Sroigim Lulavim. I'm getting a little bit confused. Okay, I want to show you. I must tell you. You remind me of something. When I was 12 years old, my father schlepped me to hear a shir of Reb Shmuel Zovsky in Yachi Kalim Ponovich. We lived already in Bnei Brak, and he said, I have to come see a shir once. It was, I think, in Hebrew, if I remember, regardless, I didn't understand it at all. If it would have been in Hebrew, English, Yiddish, I understand it all. Because it's Reb Shmuel Zovsky. And I was 12 years old. I hope today I would understand. I don't know either. He was the Talmud of Reb Shimon Shkop. So he took me along. But he made a chakira. The chakir was, when you eat a pulke as a guest of your host, let's say it's not Shabbos, in the weekdays, is the pulke yours before you bite your teeth into it? It's yours. The host gave it to you. Now it's yours. Right? So since it's yours, or it's not yours, just you can eat from what the host offers you. But it's not yours. Nafkamina, he said, if you take the pulke and you're Mekadesh Yisha with it, instead of eating it. So if it's yours, your Mekadesh Yisha will be Mekudeshes. If it's not yours, I know Mekudeshes. Fine. Raise someone, it was a full house, hundreds of people. Raise a person's hand. Yeah? Rav Shiva, you gotta be a little practical in life. Today you don't Mekadesh with the pulke. You do it with a ring. I mean, what are the chances of someone Mekadesh with a pulke? Come on. That's what he said. And the whole oilam was like holding back not to Mavayish. I even noticed it was funny. As a 12-year-old. We're speaking about the principles. Now, okay, you're right. The chances of taking a pulke, Mekadesh Yisha with a pulke, is not that common today. But that's not the Nikuda. The Nikuda is the lumptus, right? Nachon?
Do you have a right from Yaakov, from Yitzchak and Rivka, when they daven, they both want the children, each one davens themselves, not for the other one?
I don't know if that's true. Who said? No, it says it feels like Eno Dom et Tfilat Tzadik ben Tzadik.
But he didn't know that. His tefillah was answered, but you see, they both davened.
They were probably on both. No, but a couple's both. One of them individually cannot have it. Yeah, that's a different story there. That's Tzadik ben Tzadik, it's a different story. But I'm sure when Yitzchak was davening, he met with his wife. I would imagine so. That was the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Binyamin's being right. Ki akarahi gerecht. Rabbi said, let me show you a maral in Or Chodesh, which is like in the middle of nowhere. We're now on page 4. Right? So again, we have question number 1. What's the hadgasha of Hunan Atchila? What are you coming to say with that? It's obviously not because it's a little bit earlier, but there's something here intrinsic, and we want to understand what will happen with these two people. What would you tell them to do? One Rashi says one thing, another Rashi says, I would have said that each one should daven for himself. Because that means we're going to get a full 8 Richter scale if each one davens for himself. But if each one davens to Yenim, it'll be 3 and 3. Maybe it accumulates together to 6. Okay, good. That's what I think that was your cheshbon before you left. Fine. You take 3 from here, 3 from there. Okay, I don't know if it works like that. That you add the 3s. Right down.
83 is 11.
Bediuk. Now, what did Esther say? Lech knosses Yudim v'tzumu alai. Fast and daven for me. Look what the Maral says on page 4. The Maral on page 4. Good. On page 4, on Chodesh, that's our next hope, right? I mean, Chanukah is like, okay, good. And then put. What does it say? V'tzumu alai. The kosher. Demai alai. What do you mean? Fast for me. Shailka. She's probably telling him, get daven because of this gzera. So what does alai mean? Right? What does alai mean? Give a look at number 430. Lashon Yosef Lekach kan. ואומרת צום עלי, יש לדקדק, שלא עליהם ועבניהם וטפם צמים. They're all in danger, they're going to be wiped out.
The next few words answer is V'chein Oval HaMelech. That's the point.
Umay v'tzum alai. What does it mean? Let's see. Let's see what the Maral says. Okay, Vayero lomar. Shekach amra. She has a special mission here. I guess that's what you're saying, Ashachayim. Shekach amra sheyatzum alai sheyatzliach kasher echnos lifnei HaMelech v'kesher Amei. I have a certain special thing that I need your help. I'm entering the king without permission. So we're all in sakana, but I have another thing which I'm entering a very dangerous zone without being called to the king. Is very dangerous. And that's, I guess, what you mean. Goes on the Maral. Why is she saying daven for me? Why not daven for yourself? They're all about to be executed. Ham and Hashem of Naam. So why is Esther telling them, I have a personal sakana, you all have also your sakana, dying is dying, daven for me. Why? Look what the Maral says. You know what you guys have an issue with? If they shamu chachamim, hamespar al-acher v'hu atzmo tzich lo yisodovo, hu na natchila. V'lakach amra v'tzumu alai, v'atem tiyu na'anim tchila. You'll be answered first. שהרי גם אתם צריכים לזה. ואם מתפללים עליי, שאצליח במה שאני נכנס לפני המלך, תהיו אתם נענים. I apologize for the unclear line. Look what the Maral is saying here. Esther is telling the following. I have an issue which is life-threatening, entering the king. You have an issue which is life-threatening. Haman wants to kill all of you. Maybe I'm included in that. I don't know if Haman would have had the chutzpah to kill Esther. But we're both in a situation of life-threatening situations. What? No, to be alive. To be alive.
Theirs was a year later.
Okay, different timings. So what just take the Nakuda of what the Maral is saying. What's the Maral saying? Esther said, it's Kedai down for me. You'll be better off also. The first issue with the two operations. Yisrael are in a sakana a year later. A few chilukim here, but the issue is the same. They're in sakana, I'm in sakana. Now 3 days we're going to storm heaven with tefillas. For what? The pashas, you're under exerted to be wiped out. You and your children and your family, kulam. No, that one for me. And you'll be better off. Sumu alai. That's what the Maral says. And he's quoting the Gemara, "Hamispal bat chaver v'utzon sodov amuna natchila." He's quoting the same Gemara. So see, the Maral is clearly saying, that when they should do like this. So Rabbi Pesach Kwan is right. He has a bunch of stories for that. Right? And he gave her the Eitzah, down for someone like you, and you'll and ask her down for you. And she called up 9 months later, and she told Rabbi Kron, I had a baby boy this morning, thanks to your Eitzah. So Rabbi Kron told her, you made my day. And she replied, you made my life. That's the story for Pesach Kron. Did you ever hear it? You heard it, Chavre? Okay. Fine. But look what the Ral's saying. Everyone here has a cherev chada munachas al tzavaro. Everyone. But you daven for me. The question is, what's the svara? What happened to my svara of 8? What happened to that? If each one davens for himself, for his wife, for his children, won't that be coming from a more broken heart than davening for Esther? With all due respect. But clearly that's what the Maral says. So this Maral is a mitzvah. It's a good mitzvah. Right, Shia? It's a mitzvah. This Maral is a mitzvah. I'll tell you the truth. When I was learning, I don't remember when I learned the Maral. When I learned it, I remember that I was oimen on this chiddush. Me saying a big chiddush. That the searchers go like this.
He's saying even though you know it, your ulterior motive is that you're going to be asked.
Here he's pointing out that they'll be better for you as well. But maybe it means not ulterior motive. Maybe daven really for me, and it's going to turn out for you as well. I don't know if that means that should be your kavanah. I don't know.
He's saying, we're sort of like
יש לו הכל סדר.
Ma, סליחה?
יש לו הכל סדר.
Ma?
דם פורר,
Yeah. Is that the kavanah that you're davening for? I didn't know that. It's kedar for you, but
according to her, that's exactly what she's saying.
she's saying it will be beneficial for you. But I don't know if that's a kavanah. Anyway, so if I said, what's it?
They need to have the same needs.
They're both of them have to the situation. Now, where I say, so what's the pshat here? So let's see how Rav Hutner Zatzal explains this Hanoga, Nana Tchila. Give a look at what we say. We're on page 6. No, it's not page 6, sorry. No, there's no page 6. Slicha. Here, I'll tell you. On page 5, on the 7 lines into the footnotes. On page 5, meaning in footnote 432. 432 starts a line before on page 5, and Ubepachad Yitzchak, Purim, the line ends with the words Ubepachad Yitzchak Purim Inyan Yud Gimel. We have it, Chavre? Yeah, we all have it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7th line. 7th line from the top of the page. And the top of the page, the top of the footnotes. Look at what footnotes Zatzal explains this. המספר בעד חבר והוא צריך לעשות דבר הוא נענה תחילה. מפני שיש עומק תהום, a very deep, hamavdil, a very deep difference. How would you say tehom in English?
Chasm.
What?
Chasm.
Chasm. Which means like deep, right? Chasm, good. Hamavdil ben tefillah stam le tefillah shelev nishbar. A tefillah stam or a tefillah from a broken heart are two different tefillahs. V'yodim anu mipiyam shel chachamim et adifut koach ha-tefillah hagnuza b'madriga shelev nishbar. There's a preference for a davening which comes from a broken heart. V'oto adam hatzich lo yisa davar. If that person needs also a Yeshua, v'libo nishbar b'kirbo, and he has a broken heart mitoch bakashat Yeshua for himself, harei hu, haresh bidam, sorry, kinyan shel koach tefillah nizav. He has something very powerful in his hands. He has a tefillah of a broken heart. V'oto adam hamitpalel b'kocho zeh l'tovat chavero. הרי הוא לוקח את קניינו זה ומנדב אותו לחברו. המספר בעד חברו, והוא צריך לא לעשות דבר. כלומר, הוא מנדב, how would you translate the word מנדב? Donates? Any other word? לנדב? Donation. Okay. לחבר את כוח התפילה הגנוז ביסום. He's taking his yisurim for his friend. בוודאי שמן הדין הוא שלא יפסיד את הזכות הגדולה שבה ייסורים, אשר בנבבות לבבו נתן זכות זו לחברו. What's the Rav saying here? What does it do when הוא צריך לא יסוד דבר? Let's go back to Avraham Avinu, the first classical example. Avraham Avinu has a wife that he loves dearly, married for who knows how many years, how many decades already, and she's barren. It kills him. He has a broken heart on it. And he's taking those feelings that he has and he's donating it for Avimelech. What's Mefutner saying here? It's 8, it's not 3. Why? Einachinami, when you're davening for someone else and you don't have the part, you don't, Einot Tzadloi Sadovar, it's called 3. Like Hagar and Yishmael. Hagar is not dying from thirst. Yishmael is dying from thirst. When Hagar will daven for Yishmael, it will be 3. And when Yishmael daven for himself, it will be 8. But if Hagar, let's say herself was in a sakana of dying from thirst, hypothetically it wasn't the case. But let's say that's the case. They're both about to die from thirst, and she's davening for Yishmael. You know what happens then? She feels it with her bones because she's experiencing it herself. So even though she's davening for someone else, she is taking her pain and her broken heart of her tzara and using that for Yenim. Taking that whole feelings that she has and gives to someone else. Meaning, I always say, let's give, unfortunately, an example that's still relevant for today. When we daven for the hostages, we're living in London, and we daven for the hostages the whole time, I'm sure I always say, all of us. For the soldiers and for the hostages and for all those in Yeshua and Eretz Yisrael. I'm sure we have all of them in our mind. But we're walking freely in London, and we're davening for the hostages who are in the dungeons in Gaza. We're 3, and we're davening for them. But if one hostage will daven for the other hostage, let's say, there's 2 hostages, and both know they're both going through the same tzaras, and nevertheless Reuven is davening for Shimon, not for himself. Says Mefutner, you know what's happening here? He's taking his feelings and his experience from his own tzara, and he's donating it to his friend.
Transferring it.
I'm sorry?
Transferring it.
Transferring to his friend. So what happens then? It's also 8. Plus, that he's giving to his friend, which is even a nice midah. That's pashas. That's what the moral means. If it will be that once you daven for Esther, you're totally disconnected, meaning it's not Esther, it's not you anymore, and it's only from Yenim, like we're davening for the hostages, and again, I'm sure we're davening as much as we could, but since we're not personally experiencing it, it's 3. Day in, day out, we say Tehillim every time, Akol Nachon. But as long as you're not experiencing it yourself, it's not the same intensity. It's 3. But if one hostage now will be davening for another hostage, and forget and put his own pain meanwhile on the back burner, his own lot, and he's davening for the other one, he has this ability to come with a broken heart for Yenim. That's what Mefutner is explaining.
You're saying it's impossible to reach that madrega of brokenheartedness unless
It's impossible.
you're in that position.
Exactly. You cannot reach that madrega when you don't feel it the same. You'll try your best, which is very nice. We all love each other, but it won't be the same.
Does the Gemara say more cotton that the best way to reach your mind is?
It's what?
Gemara says thinking more cotton, the best way to reach your mind in davening is through tears. Tears in your tefillah are guaranteed sort of direct access.
I'm not familiar.
It's a Gemara.
It could be. I'm not familiar with it. I'm just saying. I'm Ratzis. I'm not Mertz. I don't know, but it could be. Rabbi, let me just finish. I see Michael wants to say something like a shot. That's what happens when you have this. It's not. I mean, so I want to just say on the kuda here. When Avram Avinu was davening for Avimelech, that he should be cured, and it's something similar to birth. Again, not identical, but it's something similar. That's a Chazal comparing it. It's from the same ball game. It's not that he's. You know what the pshat is? It's not that Avram is a shatchem between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Avimelech. Meaning there's A, B, C. A is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, B is Avram, C is Avimelech, and Avram Avinu is davening, and now there'll be a pipe that goes straight from A to C. That's not the pshat, especially in line with what Rafun is saying. It goes duch B. What does duch mean in Yiddish? Through. The pipe goes through Avram. It's his pain, and the pipe is going through him. It's not that he's davening for, I'm davening for A and C. I'm very good friends with A. I'm very good friends with C. And I'm davening that A should help C. A could help him. A is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so of course he can help. That's not the pshat. The pshat is, Hu tzarich lo yisa davar, the pain is his, Avram Avinu's pain from his personal tzara. And that is being used for his friend. The pipe goes through him, through Avram. It's going from A to C, but duch B. I like the word duch. Even though I don't mean doch or duch? Duch. Chassidim, how do the Litvish say it? Oh, duch, it's with the reish. Ah, I don't know. Shkiach, thank you. Thank you. Duch. Yeah, doch. Shkiach. So right, Rabbi say. So Chavre, that's what Chazal are coming to say, Hunan Atchila. Not that it's such a big difference if you get it the day before or the day after. That's not the Gehuda. Chazal want to bring out the dynamics. How does this work? You know how come he's answered first? Because it goes through him. So he's the first stop on the pipe. You know, when there's a bus that goes through a few bus stations, so the first stop is one, and then the second stop comes later. Since the pipe from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Avimelech goes durch Avram, and the Yeshua is flowing from HaKadosh Baruch Hu through Avram to Avimelech. Well, Avram was the first one on the what? On the pipeline. He's the first one on the pipeline, so he gets it first. When they're coming to say Tchila, they're not coming to say a rebusa in the nest. You know, Sarah conceived and a day before, or 10 days before. That's not the Nakuda. Even 10 years before. It's not the Nakuda. That could fluctuate from one story to another. But the Nakuda is, what Chazal are coming to tell you is, what are the dynamics of this thing? How does it work? And it works that it goes through him. And what's the manifestation and the expression that it goes through him? Because he's answered first. It's a siman to how it works. That's what Chazal are coming to say. Not the rebusa of the Nes. The rebusa of the Nes, it depends on the story. Sometimes it's 20 years before, sometimes it's 2 minutes before. That could change. That's not called davar shebe'etzem. But even if it's a minute before, it just shows how it's done. How it's done. The dynamics, how does this work? So when someone has his own tzara, and he davens with that broken heart for his friend, Chazal Megala to us, since he feels it himself, he's davening like on his friend like he's davening for himself. He has the capacity to do it. Otherwise, it's hard for him to connect. What's the expression in Yiddish, guys? I always say that someone who's savea, it's hard for him to feel what it means to be hungry. Isn't there an expression like that in Yiddish? I remember I heard it a few times. There's an expression like that? Yeah, okay. You have to feel it. You know, one person they say about the Chofetz Chaim, that when he would go collect money for the people, for the wood, right, exactly. You know, when the freezing winter, and he would go to the Gvirim to collect, and he would knock on the door, and the Gvir would answer the door and say, "Come in." He would stay with Chavana on the door, and they're standing next to the door when it's freezing outside. And his chesh was, I want the Gvir to feel also what the poor people are feeling. If we go into his house, it'll be nice and warm. The ability to feel Yemen has to be that you feel it. You feel it yourself. He feels it himself. He'll try his best, but it won't be the same.
You bring a proof from with Yaakov and Rocha. Yaakov said, Rocha said, "Why don't you double for me?" And Yaakov said, "Don't say this as my father, because I don't need children. I've got children already."
Very good zustel. Very good zustel. Yaakov Avinu said, "Mi nechman velo mimeni." Meaning, what did Yaakov Avinu really mean? They all explain. That's how you speak to your beloved wife. By the way, Yaakov Avinu was punished for that. Kacho nimla me'ukos. That Messiah Hashem quotes this Chazal. That's how you answer to a person who's in distress. It's your problem. It's not my problem. But they all explain. Yes, he was punished for it. What did Yaakov Avinu really mean, though? He meant to say, your heart is more broken here than mine. I have children from others. You don't. So Hashem, you should daven.
Avram was the same.
What?
Avram was the same.
Avram was the same that she brought a tzushtel and said, nevertheless, you should still daven for me as well. Meaning, yeah, she proved her point, and she said, bring in a tzara. It's all, you got to suffer. You got to feel the pain.
Empathize, not sympathize.
Right? Okay. It's a havamina. It's a havamina. What happened there with Yaakov and Rachel? What? I'm sorry.
You can say now, in Ibuna and Tchila, that the tefillah comes first to him and then further.
That's what I'm saying. That's what Chazal wanted to Bechadash here. Not that it's so important to be a few days earlier or whatever. That's not the Nakuda. Behemoth's not. And again, with Sarah and Avimelech, which is the source, I could make a cheshbon. It's probably a day or two difference. That's the whole story here. It doesn't make it. That's not such a major Nakuda. The Nakuda is not Gadlus Hanes, but rather the Nakuda is what? Rabbi Yitzchak? What's the dynamics? How does it work? I'm sorry?
Empathy, not sympathy. Empathy means you empathize, you feel it with them. Sympathy means you feel sorry.
No, but my point is the Yeshua is coming through the Mispal.
The pathway.
It's a pathway.
But I'm saying there's the empathy is when
I'm beyond that already. I'm speaking how the tefillah, how the Yeshua works.
Yeah, I'm saying to you, that's the same.
The empathy, that's the reason, meaning going back to the first Nakuda, for footnotes Nakuda. When you have the empathy, you could do it. When you're suffering the same, you could cry your eyes out for someone else. If you know what it means. That's what comes out here. Okay, Chavre. Okay. It's Geshmak, no? I don't hear so much. Baruch, is it Geshmak?
The answer is the second Rashi.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Rashi is kind of now, we can't shield off
Tfilah Sachoyle.
it.
But not when I'm so close to Davar. That's what comes out.
It's not a steer anymore, the two Rashis.
Again, there was no steer to start with, Matik. We explain in a minute. There's no steer. It's different circumstances. But we had a question that Rashi didn't deal with. Rashi did, by Yishmael and Hagar, or Yavam and Avimelech, we never had this situation of two people that need the same thing. What should they do? We never had that. Now that we said half an hour ago. That 40 minutes ago. Right? But once we learned the Maran, Rafuna's explanation, it's a Maran to get a Nakuda. So it's even... I'm sorry?
Just explain the last line of the Pachad Yitzchak.
Meaning, Rafuna's going back to saying he's not going to lose out if he's giving his pain to someone else. He's not going to lose out from it. No, the Havameh is, if you die for someone else, it's not for you anymore. Right? He's more explaining, he's not so much explaining the Tchila, he's explaining Nana. That's what Rafuna's explaining. Michael?
Is there a diak in that second Rashi? Mikan shiyaf tefillah sachayda. He doesn't say al atzmai. Tefillah sachayim Allah. Because it's not the
What could this duke mean? What could it mean?
Meaning, it's not the reason why tefillah sachayda is better is not because he's davening for himself. It's because he's a chayda. That's what we're saying. No, it's the
Yes.
the character is it's the character of his tefillah. Because otherwise it wouldn't work.
That's very nice. Very nice. The rust came off, huh, baby? We scratched the rust. Okay, so you don't mind if I'm going to ask Michal Slicha again on Yom Kippur, don't worry. Yom Kippur that doesn't help. But I think it's true because you always hear there's a word of the Kotzker Rebbe that whenever a family went through some kind of tragedy, and then they see someone else going through, it's again their tragedy. Meaning it's not intertwined with each other. I could take mine for someone else, and when something happens to someone else, it's you see this all over. Like people that went through some kind of chas v'shalom terrorist attack 20 years ago, and now happens again a terrorist attack, it all comes back again. That's how our emotions work. It's not bottled in for me or for you. It's all one. Should we have a Marv here? What is that? Do we have a menu? Or is it? Okay. What is it called? And stay with your